Hi friend, it's Hunter from Interactive, and in today's video I've taken a lesson from the Art of Lighting course from our site, and we're going to walk through light linking inside of Blender. So it's a very new feature. It's in version 4.0 and it's a really powerful way to light labels and products inside of Blender. So I'll walk through that today. If you're interested, you can also check out the course in the link below, and also the project file will be available below as well for you to follow along. All right, let's get into it. In this tutorial, what we're going to focus on is just lighting a label, but I want to show you some new features that are in the latest versions of Blender that we can utilize. And so this is something that we've been waiting for a while now that we can finally do. And so basically this is going to let us avoid compositing the labels together and different lighting scenarios together in Photoshop. And we can basically just do it all within Blender. So the first thing I want to show you is you'll have to download the latest versions of Blender. If you're watching this later, it may be released, but there's a few ways to download it. So the first one is if you come here, if we go builds, so it'll be, we've got builder.blender.org, and this is the daily builds of Blender. Down here we have some alpha versions, and this here has basically got what the feature we would like. So we're looking for the light linking feature, and what we can do is I can show you how to set up this lighting scenario using this new feature called light linking. And so what I'll do first of all is, you can see here we've got it set up here, and I'm just going to hide the lighting and I'll make a new lighting collection here. So I'll retype in lighting and we're good to go. So the first thing I want to point out is this scene has already been set up. It's got like liquid simulations inside. I did this on YouTube, so you can go over there if you would like to watch it. I will do more in depth on liquid simulations in the courses later on when we get into the more visual effects area, which I am starting to sort of record bits and pieces of it now, and I'll release that stuff early for you guys to follow along. So the next thing I want to do, well, the beginning, is add in a background plane. So we'll just go Shift A, we'll rotate this vertically, and we'll just move this back. And I just want to make this nice and big for us to start. Also, another thing to point out is the world lighting is set to 0, so we can't see it. So I'm just going to stick this in the background. Now, the floor here is currently if we have a look, it's black and it's fully metallic with no roughness. So basically it's reflective material, so it reflects the bottle. So what we'll do is we'll start off here, and I'll rename this BG for background. We'll go Shift A and we'll add in an area light, and I'll move this up, and we'll just move this back and rotate it, move it up, something like this. Now I can scale this in width, and if I press S and Y twice, I can scale it on its local axis, and we'll just rotate it something like this, and we'll come to the light settings and we'll punch up the power. So you should be fairly familiar with doing this. Now what I want to do is set this to a lower angle or a spread, so we'll go 90 so it's a sharper light. We'll come and select this plane here, and basically we'll do what we usually do, which I've shown earlier in the lighting course, is just set up a translucent BSDF straight into the material, and I've just called this diffuse. And what we'll do is we'll just bring this light down. You can see we can start to see the effects of it. So I'll rotate this down a bit so it comes in like this. And I'll punch up the power. Let's go 250. I think that looks fairly good. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now recently, because I'm using dual planes, it's pretty hard for me to it's a little bit annoying for me to come in here and turn both of them off. So if I just organize it now, and I'll just move this to a collection. So select the objects you would like, press M, and I've got lighting 3, and currently it's already in it. So I can create a new collection in here just for the first one. And I'll call this one background lighting. We'll grab these two, and I'll just rename this BG light. Now renaming things is important if your project starts to get really big. You can actually search for the name up here, which makes it nice and easy. So then I've got here the BG lighting. Just going to quickly save. And so what will happen here is I'll stick this in the lighting, and we can move on to the next set of lights. So this is going to be fairly simple. One thing I'm going to take into account is this area here, this black edge. I am going to watch that a little bit. So what I might do is scale this plane up more. And the more I scale it up, the more I can work with this. So now I can actually scale this up. And if I scale it wider, I can cut down that black edge like so. And we'll just move that out a bit. Like that. And I'm thinking if I bring the light up here and make it nice and big, so we'll scale it on the y-axis, the local y-axis. I'll just bring this down, bring it back, we'll rotate it up, and I'll just change the angle even more, something like 45. And we'll just sort of keep positioning it like so. Now I'm going to push the power up a lot by like 800. I'll rotate it up a little bit so I get this black edge. And pretty happy with that. Just widen it a bit. Want a bit more power. I want this background to be a lot brighter. Something like that. Let's select this. I'm just going to check the color, make sure it's white in my diffuse. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that to begin with. You could keep tweaking it and make it exactly how you want, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'll continue on. Alright, so now we're going to focus on the label, and so this is where the power of light linking comes in. So I just want to light the label separately to the actual bottle. And so we can actually do this fairly easily. So what I'll do is add in an area light. I'm just going to turn on my FN keys, and I'll just press F12 to rename this, and I'll call this key light. We'll move it up, move it out the side so I can see it, and then I'll rotate this on one of the axes, the X or the Y, won't matter. We'll go something like this. I'll scale it up, and basically all I'm looking for is this light in the label. So scale this up nice and big so we get the top one here. Just going to look on top view, bring it out here and rotate it so it's facing here. And I'm also going to scale it on the local x-axis. Let's quickly. So there's some light starting to form. And what I'll do is come in here, change the power. We'll keep pushing it up. Let's go 150. It's looking all right. What about 250? And I'll widen this. All right, so that's the beginning. I'm going to move this out. Oops, move it out into the lighting. So it's in here. I'm going to duplicate this one, rotate it, and I place it fairly good position. And notice that I'm placing the light a little bit further away. That'll make it a little bit thinner, as you can see here. And what I'll do is drop the power of this one. Wait, do I want this? Just got to make the decision whether I want this one brighter or not. One of them will look better if it's brighter, so let's go this one darker, and then we'll pump the power of this one up. Something like that. Maybe this needs to be a little bit more powerful, 200 maybe. And then lastly, as you'll notice, we've got metallic in here, metallic finish, and you can see that we can't really see a lot of it. So what I can do is I'll rename this one to fill light, and then I'll just duplicate this, bring it over here. let's go Alt R, and then rotate it on the X, and I'll just move it so it's directly in front of the label. And so you can see what's happening straight away. It's filling up that label. However, I want it to look a bit better, so I'm just going to basically make it a nice skinny line like this, and you'll see what happens is we get like this highlight that goes straight through the center of it all. Now this is where light linking comes in. What will happen is basically we can control, because I don't want all the light to be hitting the glass, so I can control these lights and say, hey, I only want these two objects. And previously you'd have to export like crypto mats, render passes and all this stuff, and composite it all back in to get the image to light twice. And that way still plausible, especially if you want a lot of control over everything. But this way leaves it so we can render it once, it's all within the viewport and we can see what's going on. So I might add a few things to this. I might add a little highlight down the back of the bottle. So I'm just going to duplicate this, rotate it around, and come in the edge here. Let's go something like this. Now don't mind the glass, we will be ignoring that. Drop the power, 150, I just want this really subtle. So go down to 100 and we'll see what happens. Alright, so right now it's really not that appealing. So we want to edit some of this. So the first thing I'm going to do is select, let's go for our brightest light, our key light here. And we'll come up to the object properties here. And under the shading, you'll now have a new option called light linking here. So if I open that up, I can just press new light linking. And now it's created a collection, and this is a hidden collection for this light here. And so now we can control the light linking. So there's two objects that I want the light linking to apply for this light here. And the easiest way to add these objects is to grab it from here. So we want the neck label here. Click it and drag it all the way down. And then the second one is the other label. So we'll go find that. Here it is. We'll grab this label, bring it, drag it down. Another thing to point out is you can actually take collections and pop the whole collection in there if you would like to. So now all we've got to do is go through each light, add a new light linking group, and grab the neck label and just the bottle, regular bottle label, and add it to the group. So I'll grab this one, we'll add a new light linking group here, we'll grab the neck label and also the label, funny name. Anyway, we'll grab this one as well, the rim light, and we'll drag that down into there. And we'll grab this label here. So we've got all our lights affecting this bottle. We've got the rim light, we've got the main key light, and you can see that then we can light the bottle separately from the labels. And so this is really handy for reflections, and it works really well. So just going to quickly save this. So right now it's pretty simple. If we want to exclude this from the light, we can come here and actually just hit the link state. So I can say maybe I don't want it to be receiving that light, and the neck label shouldn't receive that light anymore. So what I'll do, if I select the key light, I can hide it from specific objects like so. And so it's really easy to control the lights this way. The last thing I might want to do here is I'll just call this one highlight, and I'll call this one rim light, just so I can find stuff easier. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'll get rid of all this information here. And what I might do is I'll reset this light so it's in the center again. Actually, I might start from scratch with this one. So what I'm going to do is go Shift A, we'll add a plane, and I'll go Shift A and add an area light, and then I'll just find the plane here and control click it, and I'll just move this up. That's up here. Now we've done this technique before, we'll just raise this, I'll just scale this up a bit. Now I'm going to move this to this side here. I might move it up and rotate it so it's just pointing down a bit, and then scale it so it's nice and big. So basically, I'll show you what I'm looking for. I get out of this. So I'm looking for a fall off like this, so it falls off at the bottom. But basically I want the edges to be a bit sharper, so the way we can do that is actually just scale in the edges, like so. And so the fall off will be a bit sharper. So I'm going to punch up this like 150. We get something like this. Just scale it, work with it, something like this. I think will look alright. Let's go a bit wider. I'll change the spread down to like 120. I think I'm pretty happy with this. We'll add the diffuse to this. Then I'll just select the light, then select the plane, and I'll just go Command P or Control P, keep transformation. We'll rotate this by 90 on the negative axis, and we'll bring this over. And what I'll do is I'll just sort of try and place it to the same position as the other light. Come look through my camera here. Something like this. Now it's really high, so we'll bring it down. I'm just going to scale it twice on the Y axis. Make it nice and wide. Grab this light. Y twice. And I might drag it G, Y, Y. Drag it back. Rotate it a bit. I'm watching out, it's bouncing onto the back of the bottle here. So I'm just watching out for that. If I rotate it into view, the light starts to come in. I'm just keeping it sort of out. We just get this highlight on the bottle. Now the reason I'm doing this is just so that the bottle actually looks cylindrical. Because if you don't have this light, which I'll grab this light, I grab that and that. I'll move it to a collection, and I'll just call this bottle highlight. Something like this. And I just hide this. You can see what's happening. Actually adding light to the label. I'm not too worried about that. But it just helps with the bottle because this looks quite empty. It looks quite flat. So if I just shine that extra bit of light on there, it just helps it out a little bit more. Alright, so that's basically the lighting setup for this. And basically when you render this out, it's going to do all the cool light linking stuff, and we can basically just target the areas that we would like the lights to hit. But this is going to be extremely powerful for when you're doing product rendering, and you'll use it a lot. Now there's a few things that are missing from this, And that's specifically things like ray visibility, to the ability to turn off certain rays for certain objects. And that's a bit more of an advanced topic, and I'll show you how to composite that in the next few lessons. Alright, that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one. If you're interested in product visualization, our Blender course is the perfect place to start. Learn how to create impressive product CGI that looks professional and realistic. With lifetime access to updates and new courses, you'll have endless opportunities to grow and refine your skills. Enroll now and take the first step towards becoming a pro in product visualization.